Welcome to today's podcast brought to you by U.S. Bank. Imagine a world where your moneymaker is your hobby. Well, you won't have to. U.S. Bank takes pride in being the extra push people need to turn their dream job into reality. With friendly advice, setting realistic goals, and being there, supporting them with every step in their journey, just like a friend or partner would. It's time to turn your side gig into something bigger. U.S. Bank. We'll get there together. Now let's tune into today's episode.
The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Good morning, Hoop Ballers, and welcome back to DFS Today, the NBA version. We have the one and only Mike Apotria here. I am Santino Cacone, and we are ready to kick off the middle of the NBA preseason. Mike, how you doing today before we get started?
I am doing fantastic. It feels good to be back. It's a long coming. Doing it in the middle of the preseason. I think Dan Bespris, our guy up top, said it best. Sometimes you just got to give the people what they want. We were going to spend some time, kind of organize ourselves before the regular season, but we're here. We're talking about some preseason. We got 3 games to talk about. I'm excited. I'm just feeling like the NBA season. As soon as we start doing these shows, Santino, that's like when it hits us. Like, we're there. It's back. We're ready to win some money. Ready to win some money for our listeners, but it's hot down here in Texas, man. It's 10:30 a.m. when I'm recording this. I know it's 11:30 where you are, so you say good morning. It's good afternoon for you. But how are you doing, my good friend?
Well, it's not the afternoon until it's afternoon. That's where that comes from. My good friend there, but
picking up right where we left off. I see.
It's the late morning. Nice. It's the late morning. I'm just saying that they call it afternoon for a reason. But yeah, I'm excited too that we're doing our first preseason podcast. The preseason has gone on for a few days now. We are at the end of the first week that they started back up, and we are just very close now. Less than 10 days. I think if we're counting today, the 10th day, but less than 10 days because I usually don't count the day of. The NBA will be back. We'll have a couple games. We'll have a banger of a game for the first one. The opening game of the season. This is going to be awesome, man. I am excited. I am ready to get into it. And just like you said, the teams are starting to ramp up. We're seeing more than a handful of key starters getting good minutes already, which I didn't expect so early in the preseason. I know the preseason's short, but I am ready to see all these new look teams. I know this podcast in particular, we're not going to see that many because there are a lot of players that just aren't playing as of this recording. And I'm sure that even more will come out as we go on. But the NBA season is back. The NBA season is in full gear. And before we start the regular season, the WNBA finals will take place and may possibly be over. We'll see. But it's a great time to be a basketball fan, getting ramped up for those. And I'm just as excited as you are, man.
How about Diana Taurasi?
She's the best.
Was absolutely cooking. And she's, special place in our hearts, Santino, where we're from. But she is an absolute beast at her age, just doing the things that she's doing still at an elite level. People take good basketball for granted sometimes. She is. That's exactly what she is. She is the absolute GOAT. You touched on some of these injuries, and we always mention it's preseason, guys. Be tentative. Don't go, blowing your whole bankroll on this. This is supposed to just maybe help you build your bankroll a little bit for the regular season. You have to stay on top of it. You really need to monitor the news up until tip-off. That's where you're going to hear and see a lot of these last-minute, scratches and rule-outs, and you might even get a little bit of coach speak right before the game starts on what they might be looking like as far as minutes and rotation. You'll generally have a good idea of when dress rehearsal is going to be, and that's when we can really feel secure about playing these guys big minutes. But like you said, a lot of injuries. So we're going to help navigate that. We're going to help you guys get through the storm of who we're looking at, limit that player pool, and just have some fun building and constructing lineups. This is supposed to be just the preseason of DFS as well. It's preseason. So tread with caution, but have some fun doing it.
Yeah, and like I said, don't go throwing your whole bankroll on this. The preseason is just to give you the taste to get back into the swing of things, taste to get your research down, your stats down, your entire structure, everything that you do to build up to making your lineup, get it down, try and work out the kinks before the real games start here.
It's like when you go to McDonald's and you got the bag sitting on your passenger seat and you just reach in there and grab a few fries before you get home. You're not eating that whole meal. You're just, get a little taste. But let's kick this thing off, man.
Whatever that means. Let's kick this thing off. We have 3 games for you on this. Well, here it's a beautiful Saturday, October 9th. We have the Knicks and Wizards at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the Raptors Celtics 7:40 Eastern Standard Time, and we have the Hawks Grizzlies 8:10 Eastern Standard Time. We'll kick it off with the first one, the Knicks and Wizards. We have a 225.5 or 225 over under, and the Wizards are favored by 1 point at home, and we have an extensive injury list. I guess we could say extensive for the last one. The first 2 are just pretty big. We have guys like Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, both out. Then we have Thomas Bryant, Rui Hachimura, and Cassius Winston all out for the Wizards. Mike, what are you looking at on this Knicks squad and in this game? Can you expect anybody to play 30-plus minutes? And if not, where are you looking?
Well, 30 plus might be a little. I mean, it's Tibbs coaching, so who knows? It's always a good rule of thumb when you're trying to go and try to guess where minutes are going to be. Guess on the higher side when Tom Thibodeau is the head coach, especially if it's a meaningless, pointless game like preseason. I mean, we saw Julius Randle play 30 minutes in that first preseason game.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, probably one of the only players in preseason to play that much so far. But so, yeah, I'm feeling good about this. Julius Randle, he is expected to miss this game. I think his wife's having a child, so he flew back home to kind of be with her during that time. So there will not be Julius Randle, but that just kind of means that usage is going to get spread around a little bit more through amongst these starters. So I definitely think, when I'm looking to construct my lineups on only a 3-game slate, having 2 to 3 Knicks might not be a bad option. Looking at RJ Barrett, 7,300 in that small forward spot. He's a good bet even when Julius is playing, but with Julius off the floor, a couple more rebounds will probably fall his way. They'll play a little bit smaller, I'm sure, just because, Obi Toppin, another good plug-and-play kind of guy, most likely expected to start. He played good minutes, not like a whole lot of minutes, but played them well in that first preseason game. So I think both those guys are going to be 2 obvious options, probably both going to be relatively chalky. And then looking at Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, I'd rather play Fournier myself, just because another thing you could look at in preseason is guys in new roles on new teams. They have to get acclimated. They have to kind of build that chemistry. And Fournier is not a guy that's ever been shy to shoot. So I think, looking at him, he'll probably have a lower ownership than Kemba. Kemba, a veteran in this league. That doesn't stop Tibbs whatsoever, but he's also a guy that's not really, a high assist, a high volume assist kind of point guard either. He could get the scoring going. I'm not saying don't play him. I just slightly prefer Fournier over him. So I like basically all 4 of those guys. Probably won't go too much towards Noel. He's not a terrible option. He's probably expected to play in this when he sat that last preseason game. And then the only other guy I really have any interest in would be Emmanuel Quickley, just because he's a guy that can stuff the stat sheets in 20 to 23 minutes. I don't expect Kemba to be that guy that plays close to 30. If anything, I would probably expect that to be like Barrett, Fournier, and Toppin. So if Kemba's back down towards that 21 to 23 minute role, you could probably expect another 20 to 22 from Quickley. And I think on a point per dollar basis and a point per minute basis, Quickley can outscore Kemba. So that's kind of my quick thoughts on this New York Knicks team. I don't know if you have anything to add, if there's anything that you're looking at over there.
This is Dave Grohl, and I'm excited to tell you about my memoir, The Storyteller. In my book, I've collected and captured many moments of my life. From my childhood in D.C. to touring the world with the Foo Fighters, meeting and jamming with my musical heroes, becoming a father, and much more. Telling stories, like making music, is how we make our lives and the lives of people we care about richer. I perform the audio edition of The Storyteller. Download it today wherever you get your audiobooks. Turn it up.
If you've got a passion for pumpkin, you've got to get to Dunkin' and pick these up. Our new Pumpkin Cream Cold Brew. Smooth, bold cold brew topped with velvety pumpkin cream cold foam. And our delicious pumpkin spice signature latte. Rich espresso topped with whipped cream, caramel drizzle, and cinnamon sugar. And our perfectly pumpkin donuts, munchkins treats, pumpkin muffins, and more. That's how we pumpkin at Dunkin'. Pick your pumpkin at Dunkin', like our new Pumpkin Cream Cold Brew, pumpkin spice signature latte, and our perfectly pumpkin treats. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Exclusions apply.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see if they start Toppin and plays, as I mentioned, possible 30 minutes. I mean, without Randall here, soaking up all the minutes he can handle in the first preseason game, which is just so Tibbs-like. This is a chance for Toppin, who really didn't get to do much in his rookie year, to show out. And I want to see him potentially get 25 to 30 minutes. I mean, he dropped 10 and 5 in that first preseason game in only 14 minutes. That's really good per minute production. And we know that this guy can score. He's been working on his game all summer. Without Randall, I want to see if he gets a start, which I do believe he should. And I do want to see if Tibbs just runs him out there, because he's probably not going to get too many minutes in the regular season when this team is fully healthy. Obviously, Randall is going to play another 37 minutes a night if he can. Then you have all the guys at the center position that they can throw out when they're all healthy. He's not going to have too much time to do that if this team stays healthy. So I think this is a game where he can do that. And I'm with you. I like RJ Barrett is going to be probably the number one option here. I'm going to say he's going to play 30 minutes too. He played 25 in the first. And those are probably the two guys I'm looking at most. And I do like the Quickly as well, because in the preseason, I want to go with talented guys who should be playing more than they will in the regular season. And I can imagine Kemba Walker not getting a full complement of minutes. Why would he, with his injury history, second game of the preseason? Can't imagine Derrick Rose getting a ton of minutes. Quickly should play both point guard and shooting guard and get a good amount of minutes. And we know his per minute production. So I like the three young guys on the team the most.
Yeah, and it would be so Tibbs if this was like a regular season game to start like Noel and Taj Gibson and just, and that's probably what would happen if Randall missed the regular season game. I can't see him doing that in preseason. You touched on it. It's just an opportunity to see these guys and get them a couple more minutes. And I expect Toppin to probably draw that start. But again, monitor the news. It's Tom Thibodeau. It's his world, and we're just living in it.
And for everything we joke around about Tibb, the guy can coach. The guy is one of the best defensive-minded coaches in the league, and he just knows how to pull strings. His time in Minnesota didn't go as he wanted, but they still made the playoffs, which they haven't done since, and were having trouble doing before. So regardless, this guy could coach. All jokes aside, just want to throw that out there. But the way he runs his guys down is second to no other coach.
Coach of the Year candidate last season. So turned this Knicks around to a level that nobody expected last season. And I think they're going to do it again this year. But let's move on to this Washington team. Kyle Kuzma making the debut of a century. They talked about it in Lakerland. Wait till this guy gets freed and he's not surrounded by LeBron, and we're going to see him shine. He struggled. He looked absolutely terrible in his Washington debut, but that doesn't mean that there can't be a bounce back. He was not gun shy. With that being said, he was well aware that he was going to be one of the leading shot takers that game. Missed, I think it was his first 4 or 5 shots he missed. But he's still an option for us at 57. I prefer to I'm not too high on too many point guards on this slate. Like I said, I'm probably not going to have too much Kemba. So if I'm looking anywhere, it's probably going to be Spencer Dinwiddie at 6,300. He's another guy. He can stuff the stat sheet. He's definitely going to be a high volume shooter for this team. He gets the assists. He's a tall, lengthy guard. He can easily get in there and get you 4 or 5 rebounds. So I don't mind Spencer Dinwiddie at 6,300. The center position, it's going to be clogged all season. I expect Gafford and Harrell to kind of chop these minutes up. Gafford's definitely the better player as far as DFS, just because he could do it on the defensive end with those blocks on DraftKings, getting us 2 points per block. But we have a lot of options to go through. And when we're really trying to pinpoint minutes equal money. We say it all the time. And yeah, Gafford on a per minute basis might be able to outscore these guys. But if he's only going to be playing 20 to 22 minutes, I'll probably go and hedge my bet somewhere else. So Beal, 87. there's only a few guys I'm probably going to be spending up on. We already talked about Barrett. We're going to get to a few of these other guys. I don't mind taking a look at Beal, but probably not going to be the guy for me. It's going to be Spencer Dinwiddie and a little bit of Kyle Kuzma I'll sprinkle in. And I'll probably draw the line there. This is the highest over-under of the night. So getting some good exposure on both sides of the ball isn't a bad idea. But I just can't trust a lot of these guys over here, and I'm just going to put my money on the guys I do trust.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you. I really don't want to spend up for Beal at the moment. Dinwiddie, I don't think he's going to play a ton of minutes yet, too. I mean, he missed pretty much all of last year with that injury. I know he played 21 minutes in the first, looked pretty good, been pretty good for a while. Been practicing and whatnot for a while. So he's there. I just don't think they're going to push him in the preseason because why do they need to? But I don't mind the price tag there. It's not a bad price tag to go at. Kyle Kuzma, yeah, looked like Dookie the first game.
Hot garbage.
Yep, whatever you want to call it. He just looked bad, but he's just going to shoot. I mean, there's really not many shot takers / shot makers on this team. And especially without Rui, there's really no competition for which spot is he going to play, which forward spot. He's going to get a good amount of minutes, and when he's in there, he's going to get a good amount of shots. So I don't mind taking a shot at him again at 5'7". Randall's not playing, so the matchup there might be against Toppin, as we mentioned, and that's a matchup that he can win. I don't mind taking some shots there. Everywhere else, I don't mind Harrell. I don't mind Gafford. It's not super enticing, but I'll take a shot at one or the other. I do think Aaron Holiday has a solid price tag, only at 4.6. He played 19 minutes in that first one. I can see him creeping up a little bit. You never know. And then that's probably it. Those are. I think they're going to go. I can see Aaron Holiday playing about 24 minutes or so, but I'm not huge on this particular game for them. But I think that Kuzma's very safe. Gafford, Harrell, whichever way you choose, I think they're both going to provide solid value. And then Holiday is the lower guy that I go because I just see him taking 24 or so minutes here.
I like that Holiday call too, because if you're hedging your bet on that Spencer Dinwiddie, like you said, if you don't think he's going to play big minutes, I'm not expecting him to play, 25, 26 minutes. I'm more probably low 20s, 22, 23. He did miss all last season, but keep in mind there was rumors in when the Nets were in playoffs that this guy might be returning during their playoff run last season. So I think he's pretty much at full health. We'll probably see once the regular season actually does start what his role is going to be. I expect a full starter's complement for him. But Holiday's a guy that they traded for on draft night, and they anticipate using. He's going to be the main option behind Dinwiddie, and probably the guy that's going to spell him in a lot of blowout type scenarios. So if this game does get out of hand real quick, and maybe you're only playing, those major guys that we're expecting big minutes from on the Knicks, and then you want to run it back with a guy in a blowout case scenario, and it still has a good enough floor if that game stays close, Holiday would probably be your guy.
Yep. Now let's jump on over to the next game of the night. We have the Toronto Raptors playing at Boston against the Celtics. We have a 218 over-under, and the Celtics are 3.5-point home favorites. And just to let everyone know, the first game was the highest over-under on the night, if that means anything to you. But on the injury report, we have Jaylen Brown is going to miss this game. On the Raptors, we have Ken Burke, Chris Boucher, I forgot to say it. Bobby Boucher, Pascal Siakam, and Yuta Watanabe is also going to miss this one. All right, let's start with the Raptors, man. How are you feeling about this team? We got a glimpse of them. They already had two preseason games without most of these guys already. But how are you looking at spending up on the Raptors here?
Yeah, I really don't mind looking at pretty much almost anybody in the starting lineup, but obviously we're not going to be able to do that. We already talked about a bunch of these Knicks guys that we're interested in. But I'm going to start off with, like I said, point guard. Not a very enticing position tonight with a lot of these guys sitting. If I'm not playing Dinwiddie, it's probably going to be Fred VanVleet is the other guy I'm looking at. Very similar price tags. I think Dinwiddie at 63, Freddie at 64. Freddie's going to have to take a big load for this team this season without Kyle Lowry. We're expecting him probably to lead this team in shot attempts as long as Siakam's out as well. So I don't mind him. I love how the way that this dude facilitates as well. He can easily get you a double-double in a preseason game, and it wouldn't shock me one bit. So at 6,400, I definitely like me some Fred VanVleet. And then their young rookie, Scotty Barnes. He looked absolutely incredible during that first preseason game. He was facilitating. He was playing great defense. He could slide over from the 3 to the 4 very easily and interchangeably. I feel like, every single person on this Raptors is about 6'8" and can play every single position. So I don't know if that's something that they're going for. If they are, it's going to work out great for him because Scotty Barnes is going to be very OG-like when he was younger. So I don't mind looking at Scotty Barnes, but I just talked about OG, and I probably slightly prefer OG over Scotty just because I think OG is going to actually step up in the scoring column a lot this season. We've seen his game evolve over the past few seasons where he's always been known for his defense. He can knock down these threes, but I feel like we're going to see him kind of push the tempo a little bit more, kind of take those, those full court presses and he's going to have to score. They're going to need somebody to get buckets, and he's now become a veteran on this team, one of the longest tenured Raptors on this team. So I'm very much enticed by all three of those guys. And then if you need to save, if you want to look somewhere else, you can also look at Precious. I don't think he's going to have that tremendous of an upside, just knowing that, he's a new guy on the team. He's only been around these guys for what has it been about 3 months now, not even. So he's going to start at center as long as all these other guys are out. So he's going to get some usage. He's going to get some rebounds. But this is a team where, like I said, Precious isn't much bigger than a lot of these forwards and, the small forwards and power forwards on this team. The rebounds could really fall anywhere. And there's a lot of forwards to like on tonight's slate. So you really kind of have to decide what you're going to do with them. Yes, you can play him at that center position, but we're going to get to another guy momentarily that we're going to be looking at that position as well. So my top options would probably be Scotty Barnes, OG, and Fred VanVleet. Wouldn't mind a slight amount of Precious. Probably won't be going towards any Goran Dragic or Gary Trent Jr. Just two guys that Goran Dragic being a veteran that probably won't even be on this Raptors team 2 months into the season. And then Gary Trent Jr. working his way back from an injury and just a pure shooter and scorer. You really need to rely on him knocking down, like 7 of 10 shooting or 8 of 12 shooting to return the value during a preseason game because the minutes aren't going to be there for him to necessarily get a bunch of steals, rebounds, or assists or anything like that. So I'll probably leave it to those main three guys, sprinkle a little Precious, and then call it a day.
Yeah, I think OG is my favorite on the team. Favorite on, I was going to say on the game, but he might be my favorite per dollar on the game. The guy played 25 minutes in the first game, dropped over 20 points. Then he played 30 minutes in the last one, dropped over 20 points again. I can see him playing another 30 minutes. I mean, they don't have Birch, they don't have Boucher, they don't have Siakam. That's most of their front court depth. And then Watanabe, he's also out here too, and he played both forward spots last year as well. I know it's only the preseason. Scotty Barnes is going to play a lot, but OG is a guy that they really like, and I can see him playing another 30 minutes. And without those guys on there, there are a lot of front court shots to go around there. Precious is not a guy who's probably going to take a ton of them. Scotty Barnes is still acclimating. I mean, this third preseason game now. So I can see OG playing another 30 minutes, being more of a focal point on the offense as well. So I really like him here. VanVleet, yeah, he's going to be the guy on this team. And at 6,400, even if he only plays 25 minutes or so, like he's played 23 and 29, so he crept up too. Even if he plays 25, though, that's still a good price tag for him in this particular matchup. Those two are the guys I'm leaning to most. I don't mind Precious, even though I just mentioned him, as he's not a guy who's probably going to command the basketball. But at 4'9", knowing that he's going to play, knowing that there's not that much depth behind him that is really going to make an impact on the season for the Raptors when they're fully healthy, I don't mind going there. He played 23 in the last game. It's probably where he's going to stay. He played 25 in the first, but that's not a terrible price tag. Outside of those guys, the main guys, I don't mind taking a look at Svi. I just think he's going to play all around. I'm playing him at multiple positions here, and he's played a decent chunk of minutes the first couple games. 23 in that first one, 19 in the second. He's taking some good shots off the bench. I don't mind going there. I just don't think we need to because not everybody's priced appropriately in the preseason. We know that. No one's going to be near 11K normally. So I don't think you have to, but if you are just stacking the box with big names and you really just don't want to do too much research and you're trying to do it like a regular season game, I'd say, I don't mind taking a look at Svi, but I think OG and Van Vliet are the two guys I'm definitely targeting here.
He's definitely a good tournament option because he's the dude that we just talked about, Gary Trent Jr. being able to go 7 of 10 or something like that. Svi can do that too. He's a great shooter. He knows how to put the ball on the floor pretty well too. I believe one of his biggest preseason games was that first preseason game where Gary Trent Jr. was out, but that doesn't mean that this dude just can't get hot any time of the game. So I don't mind that call at all.
Right, and let's flip on over to the Celtics side, man. Who are you looking at on the Celtics? And outside, I mean, I guess you can start with the big guy, Jason Tatum, who played 25 minutes in the first one without Jaylen Brown. They're probably going to play him again 25, 30 minutes. But do you want him here? And if you do, who else you like?
Tatum is the guy I want to spend up on. So I talked about not wanting to spend up on Bradley Beal, and that's because if I'm spending up on anybody over that 8K mark, it would be Jason Tatum. With no Jaylen Brown, we've seen a few times last season when the scenario happened what Tatum's usage looks like. He's going to be playing a little bit more of the 3 this season. They've already touched on that. They're talking about playing Robert Williams and Al Horford next to each other, and that might mean slightly less rebounds for Tatum, but that means more scoring opportunity, more 3-pointers from him as well. So I don't mind looking at Jason Tatum one bit. This dude has just elevated his game every single season, year in and year out, and it looks like he's going to be taking another big step forward. You know, this dude's going to be creeping up probably on scoring 27 points a game this season is my best guess, and I definitely have some interest in him. Outside of him, it gets a little bit lackluster. You know, this game has one of the lower totals on the night. Al Horford, the veteran, you know, we could look at him, but I already talked about it. I'm not short on cash when I'm building my lineups right now. So there's a few guys I like that are a little bit more expensive than Al Horford, a couple $100 more, who I just think have slightly more upside. Now, do I love him for season-long fantasy? Absolutely. It's Al Horford. If he's going to be playing a consistent role, we know his game could just spread across the box score. But I'm not expecting a veteran guy like this to play much more than 20 to 22 minutes. And I don't see him getting done what we're going to need to get done to take down any of these GPPs on tonight's slate. So I'll probably shy away from him. If I were to go anywhere, it'd probably be Robert Williams, who, point per minute, this dude's a beast. And I don't think he's ever really played games over 25 minutes as is throughout his entire career. And we've seen him crush some fantasy box scores and some DFS box scores for us. So, you know, a little lackluster game in that first one. I think he only had 1 actual point, not a high volume score. But he's a dude that could pass well for a big man. He's going to get some boards. He's a little undersized, but the blocks are always there for him as well. The steals are always there for him. So I don't mind looking at him. Again, there's a lot of centers that are around that price range that we'll look at. But if I had to pick some of these Celtics, it would probably be Robert Williams, Jason Tatum. And then if you wanted to go with a couple dart throws, you could try to guess on which one of these guards is going to play the most minutes. Marcus Smart is going to open the season as a starting point guard, but Schroeder and Pritchard are going to be involved as well. I can see Pritchard being kind of that backup young guy and getting a few extra minutes during a preseason game, but it's preseason. It's really a dart throw between all 3 of those, and it wouldn't shock me if we see one of them start, just knowing that Jaylen Brown's going to be out, and Jaylen Brown's been primarily playing the 2 for him during the preseason. So between, you know, probably my best guess would probably be Pritchard starting, just because I think they like Schroeder coming off that in that bench role. But something to keep an eye on. And there's even Naismith. It wouldn't shock me if they decided to start Naismith, where, you know, you can look at whoever's starting at that 2 in place of Jaylen Brown, and it could be, you know, one of those GPP type plays. Now, we have a lot of other guys that we'd probably go with in cash that we feel a little safer with, but they're in play for me for sure, whoever's going to start at that 2.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you there. Jason Tatum is the guy that I'm going for, without a doubt. No Jaylen Brown. He's just good. Even if he plays 25 minutes, he could possibly take 25 shots in this game. It should be fast paced. It should be a good one. And he's just getting started this second preseason game for the Celtics. So I'm 100% on him. Robert Williams, another guy I am very high on in this one. I don't know if he'll play a ton of minutes. Like you said, he doesn't even play a ton of minutes in the regular season, but he's going against a front court that just has Precious. Precious, OG is going to be playing power forward, or Barnes is going to be playing power forward. One of those 2 on the court usually. They don't. All their big guys, I guess, if talking to Nick Nurse, they're not really big. Burke, Pat Siakam, and Boucher, they're not true centers, but none of them are playing. So Robert Williams should be able to command that paint. Might not be offensive production, but he should be commanding that paint. But while he's out there, 4,800, I really like that. And yes, someone's going to be starting for Jaylen Brown. I actually think it might be Josh Richardson. He played good amount in that first one. He played 24 minutes in the first one. He played the most minutes off the bench in that first game. So I'm thinking that he might get that call. And I for 4,100, I don't mind that. One of them is going to get that call, whether it's Pritchard, Schroeder either playing off the ball or pushing Smart off the ball for one game, seeing how that works. Maybe Naismith joins in there, or Josh Richardson. I think it's Josh, but we'll see if they would just want to keep him in that 6-man role for now. And Hernan Gomez actually started that first game. Not going to look at him. I think other people are going to look at him, but I'm not going to be the one. I'm with you, though. I think it's Tatum, for me, is the guy that I want on this slate. Robert Williams is the guy that I want in this one. I like him. And I'm leaning towards Josh Richardson. Whether he starts or not, I think he's going to creep up. He played 24 in the first. I think he's going to creep up to maybe 27. And if he starts, that could possibly be 30. We'll see.
It's a good call, yeah. I mean, it's really a dart throw. Any one of these guys can easily start because it's not like Marcus Smart is a natural point guard anyway. And, they have 3 natural point guards, and then they have 3 prototypical shooting guards as well. So we're going to kind of have to see how this one shakes out. Luckily, it's the first game, one of the first games on the slate. So we should have that information before tip-off. But even if you get it, doesn't mean you need to panic and swap somebody in, swap somebody out. There's plenty of options that we could use. We're going to get to this last game in a moment where it is just filled with fantasy value. So I'm mostly leaning.
They might call us. I don't think they have enough bodies. I think we're getting a call. We got to fly to Memphis tonight.
Listen, I keep my phone on. It's off vibrate all night long, just in case. I got the plane tickets already booked. I'm ready to go if they do. It's not going to be much production. Don't play me. I'll probably be looking at like an 0 for 6 night with 6 turnovers and 3 assists. But I can guarantee you those 3 assists, they're going to be flashy.
Oh, I was thinking I can give them 10 minutes and foul out there. So I can do that for them. You're going to take 6 shots in an NBA game? I don't know about that one.
I've played backyard basketball with Santino for many years. They're hard fouls. Those aren't going to be and one plays. I can tell you that much. They're going to be hard fouls.
My one night, if I get the ball, I'm shooting. That's it. But I don't know if I'll be able to get 6 shots up in an NBA game. I will get 6 fouls, though. I can do that.
Shoot. Well, you can't. No, it's Santino. You're forgetting. This is preseason.
Yeah, I know.
Don't you get 9, or is that just summer league?
I'm thinking that I'm going to get a technical in one of those fouls at least. I don't know if they're going to let me continue playing.
If you don't get thrown out of your only NBA game ever, I mean, did you really play?
You shouldn't have. If you wasted, it was wasted talent there.
All right, man. I'm ready to move on to this last one.
Right, this last one, we have the Atlanta Hawks, half of them traveling to the Memphis Grizzlies. We have the lowest total of the night at 217.5, half a point lower than the previous game, and the Hawks are 1.5 point road favorites. On the injury report, we have, let me get my glasses out here because there's a lot of reading, but we have the Hawks have Clint Capella, my boy, Onyeka Okongwu, both out. We have DeLone Wright, Trae Young, doubtful. We have DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Huerter, questionable. On the other side of the ball, we have Steven Adams, Kyle Anderson, Dylan Brooks, Chris Dunn, Jaren Jackson Jr., Sean McDermott, Sam Merrill, Ja Morant, and Killian Tilly all out. And I would say it wouldn't surprise me if other people joined, but honestly, I don't know if they have enough bodies to have other people join on that team. But we will start with the Hawks, man. I can't imagine that Trae plays. I can't imagine that Wright plays. And Bogdanovich wasn't mentioned on that official injury report, but he's also he's not going to play, or he's also questionable. He missed the last one, so we'll see if he plays. It was only a rest on the last one, but we'll see if he plays. There's just a lot to siphon through in this entire game.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. I don't think we see any Trae Young or DeLone Wright. Those were actually real injuries that the guys had. This isn't like a rest case scenario. So it's I believe it was ankle injury for Wright, and I think it was an ankle injury for Trae Young too, if I'm not mistaken. But not going with either one of those. You can't trust it. We'll probably get that news, way before. This is the last game of the night, but we'll have that news probably early on in the afternoon that neither one of those guys are going to play. But that just means that there's going to be ball handling opportunities for other players. We saw Wright start in place of Young in that second game because Young got hurt in the first preseason game. I think he only played about 6 or 9 minutes or so. So, who starts at point guard? It's going to be whoever's available right now. They have Skylar Mays. He's not a guy that I'll be looking at. I'd be looking at Bogdanovich if he does play 7,300. Seems like an expensive price tag, but I mentioned it. I'm not hurting for money on this slate. There's a lot of options that we could go down to and play. So I think he's going to be one of my top options. And then Cam Reddish as well at 5,100. You can slot him into that shooting guard role. I think he's going to be a high usage guy for him during this preseason game just because all these other bodies are out. He's an unbelievable talent that's slowly budding. A lot of people called him a bust early on in his career, but he's only been getting better and better, especially defensively. So looking at, I think he had a ton of steals in that last one. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but as I was streaming it, because I was playing some DFS action, it felt like he came up with like 3 or 4 steals during that game. So I have interest in both these guys. I think they're both going to be the 2 primary, play initiators and facilitators in this game. Lou Williams, probably going to come off the bench, but when we're talking about preseason, you're not going to be, going towards the guy that was on the edge of retirement necessarily as going to be playing 30 plus minutes or anything like that. He is a high volume shot taker, so there is that in his arsenal. But they know what you get. You know what you're getting from Lou Williams. He's not a guy that you really need to sit and roll out there big minutes in preseason. It's a good opportunity to see what these other guys can do if this situation arises during the regular season. And we've seen Bogdanovich and Reddish both handle the ball very well for the Hawks last season. So those would be my 2 primary options I'm looking at. Now, John Collins at 6,800. I'm not a huge fan of John Collins. I actually think he's going to have a little bit of a down year coming into the season. But when there's nobody to take these shots other than, like I just said, Reddish and Bogdanovich, he's going to be going against a very, very porous and lackluster Memphis squad in general, let alone front court. So I don't mind looking at John Collins at 6,800. He's a guy that could turn out some pretty good point per minute stats for this team on tonight's game. But those would be my 3 main options. I don't really want to go to the gorgeous Dang, but
gorgeous.
He's there. He's very gorgeous, man. He's from Senegal. But I do like him. But I just don't see myself going. He doubled in that last game in limited minutes. He's a guy that could easily do it again tonight. Like I just said, Memphis really just doesn't have the bodies to compete down low. They're going to be playing with pretty undersized centers during this game. So he's there for you at 5,600. Is the upside there for you? No, but he's probably a very, very safe option for you. So, if you're not looking for, say, a higher floor type of guy, I just don't know if he has that tournament winning upside, but very, very much in play. So those would be the 4 main options I'm looking at. And if I had to rank them, it would be Bogdanovich, Reddish, Collins, and then Dang.
Yeah, and I like a lot of these guys here. I mean, there's not that many. There's a lot of people out. Bogdanovich is probably going to play a good amount of minutes if he plays. He played 23 in the first one, rest in the second one, probably played 25 or so in this one, 26. He's going to be the primary ball handler, and I like him. Cam Reddish has been playing pretty well. He was hurt pretty much all last year, came back in the playoffs, looked pretty good. Jang, I do like Jang. He doubled in 31 minutes in the last one, but he played 14 in the first, so it jumped up. They really don't have much front court depth with Capella and Double O out. There's not huge outside of just Collins Gallinari is not going to be playing any power forward here. There's not a lot of front court depth unless they want to throw like Joe Okafor or someone they know that might not even make the team out there. But I don't mind Jang. I do like him there. And Collins is just normally wouldn't have liked him in this slate, but there's really, without most of these people out there, he's going to have to take some shots. He played 25 in that last one. He played 22 in the first. He could creep up to 28, keep going that 3 each time. And he could easily double here with playing against nobodies and having to be one of the focal points of the offense, which he normally is, but still even more so here. And if you did want to take a shot, if you're a guy that's going to throw out Tatum and Beal and every expensive guy that actually is playing, I think Jalen Johnson, the rookie, I like this kid. And without all of these bodies, without Trae Young, without Herter, Hunter, Wright, he should be playing. He's going to get a lot of these wing minutes, and I would expect him to, because this kid was a good pick. This is a very good pick that they got late, and I like this kid if he can play 25 minutes. At 4,600, I would pay for him. I just don't think we have to. I know I don't have to go down there, but I know other people are going to. And if that's where you're looking in that 4,600 range for your last spot, because you are loading up top, that's a guy that I'd target.
I can't believe he actually fell that far in the draft. He was a guy that was expected at one point in time, was being considered close to a lottery pick. But The only problem I'm running in with Collins is all these forwards that we did talked about. We're talked about Tatum, we talked about OG, Scotty Barnes, Obi Toppin. That's where a lot of the upside seems to be, is that forward. And I'm not saying Collins doesn't have the upside, but it's not one of the positions that I'm primarily spending up on as of right now outside of Tatum. So I'll probably, I'm not running a ton of lineups out tonight. I maybe have 3 or 4 different lineups out there, and he'll probably be, if I have 4, he'll be in like maybe 1, possibly 2 of them. But he's the guy that I just see myself spending up on the guards a little bit more, and Bogdanovic being that guy that I don't mind spending up on. But again, if you wanted to spend down at the guard position, you can easily go with Reddish and still go and spend up on a guy like John Collins, split the difference, and feel pretty good about it either way that you want to go with it.
And let's get to this last game of the night, man. I'll give you who can guess the starting lineup for tonight. It's going to be crazy, but we have, or I said game, last team of the night. We have the Memphis Grizzlies without, at least as of now, 9 people are going to miss the game, and the majority of those are starters, like Adams, Anderson, Brooks, Jackson, Ja. That could likely be their starting 5. Maybe Kyle Anderson doesn't make it in there, but that could likely be their starting 5. They're not playing. Neither is Killian Tilly, or neither is Chris Dunn, neither is Sam Merrill, neither is Sean McDermott. That's just a lot of bodies. Where are you going with this? I know there's a couple people that get a lot of minutes regardless, or should be getting a lot of minutes, mainly those Melton and Bain, but where are you going with them and outside of them?
Well, yeah, you just led with the juice right there, and it's Melton and Bain. I mean, these 2 guys are 2 guys that could push for starters minutes, and they're kind of messing with the rotation a little bit. We haven't seen them play in the preseason with Dylan Brooks just yet, so we've been seeing both Melton and Bain start. And who knows? We could end up seeing that sometimes throughout the season as well. I'm a big D'Anthony Melton guy. I think you are too. We've both been just harping on this guy for his point per minute production. For everything that we said about Robert Williams, it's the same thing with Melton at the guard position, where, even if this guy gets 20 minutes, he can come out there and pour on 35 DK points pretty easily. He just does it all between his defense, blocks, and steals from the guard position. He manages those. He's a good scorer. He's a good facilitator. He's probably going to be the starting point guard for this team. I anticipate that he's going to be the chalkiest player on the night, and for good reason. He's been just pouring it on in the preseason thus far. So I'll be going back to the Melton well on this one. I'm anticipating a starting lineup along the lines of Melton, Bain, Zaire Williams. We'll probably end up seeing
Clark,
Brandon.
possibly.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Brandon Wright, and then I said Brandon Wright. Brandon Clark.
Yeah.
Brandon Wright, throwback Mavs. Clark, and then Tillman at the center position. And I think everybody in that starting lineup outside of Williams will probably be in my player pool. I have to limit it, and I just don't see myself playing Williams over guys like Cam Reddish, over some of these other guys that we spoke about, including Obi Toppin at a very similar price tag. But D'Anthony Melton, Desmond Bain, we've seen Desmond Bain during the summer league just lead this team in scoring. He's an absolute pistol from the three-point line. He's probably the best shooter on this team. So I expect high-volume shot attempts. Wouldn't surprise me if he leads the team in shot attempts on tonight. So looking at both those guys, and then looking at the center position, that's what I was talking about earlier. There's a lot of options, but you can mix and match between Wright and Tillman. Wright also has that power forward eligibility as well. So, looking at both of those guys and just,
Keep saying right.
I keep saying right. I keep saying right. I want Brandon Wright to be playing right now. Clark, I'm sorry.
Price is wrong.
The Brandons. Thank you. And so Tillman has that power forward eligibility as well. So you can mix and match these guys. I anticipate playing one of these guys at my center position. Now, if I had to pick, it would probably be leaning more towards Tillman. We've seen him just be the slightly better rebounder than Wright. I said it again. Clark. Brandon Wright got to make he's got to make this comeback. Tillman playing over Brandon Clark in most of my lineups, but I'm going to be mixing and matching these guys. So that's kind of when I say I'm building 4 lineups. I'm going to have probably the main core in just about all of these, and then just swapping in and hedging my bet a little bit. One might have Brandon Clark.
No,
and then a different one will have Tillman. I'll have some lineups that will have Reddish. The other one might have Bogdanovic. I'm going to just be hedging my bet on a lot of these guys. It might be OG in one. It might be Scotty Barnes in another. Sort of like that kind of thing. But for the most part, I'm going to have Melton and Desmond Bain in a lot of these lineups. I'm going to have RJ Barrett in a lot of these lineups, Tatum in a lot of these lineups, Obi in most of them. Probably if I'm playing, like I said, if I'm playing 4 lineups, Obi Toppin will probably be in about half of those. Probably play him in 2 because there's a little bit more risk associated with him as opposed to some of these other guys like OG that we just talked about. And just mixing and matching. I think these are the guys that I'm going to keep mostly in my player pool. I really limited it. I'm not saying Zaire Williams, their top draft pick coming out of this last year's draft, can't get it done. Just not a guy that I'm willing to bet on just yet. Kind of want to see a little bit more out of him. I thought he went a little bit early, a little earlier than he was expected to go in the draft. Now, that doesn't mean anything. Draft is done. Once the draft is done, who cares where a guy was taken? Marvin Bagley, for instance, 2nd overall over 2 of the probably top young stars that we're going to see for the next 15 to 20 years. So it means nothing where they were taken in the draft necessarily, but I just feel a lot more confident in these other guys like Desmond Bain, DeAnthony Melton, and then just knowing that there's some rebounding upside and some of that interior upside for everything that we just said about Memphis's interior. Atlanta's isn't going to be much better. John Collins, not necessarily known for his defense. Dang, a little slow. So I think these young guys can easily beat them off the dribble if they wanted to. But those are the 4 main guys I'm looking at. I don't think I need to get too cute. I'm not going to be really playing Tyus Jones, even though he might get some, 15 to 20 minutes. Even if he starts, I probably won't play Tyus Jones. So I'll leave Tyus Jones and Zaire Williams off my player pool and just stick with those 4 main guys.
Yeah. And you said 15 to 20 years. I think you mean like 10 to 12 or so.
Lucas is going to be the next.
It's not going to be a young star for 15 to 20 years.
He'll look young. Yeah, that guy doesn't. He's not going to age. Are you kidding me?
But yeah, I'm with you. Melton, Bain, Clark, and Tillman are the 4 I'm going after. I wouldn't have minded Zaire Williams, but him being 6 and 700 more than Melton and Bain, I'll pass. Like, I'd rather just have Melton at $600 cheaper. I like him even if they were the same price. Even if Melton was $600 more, I would have rather had Melton. So I'm not sure where the math is on that, but I just don't like him for that reason. I think Melton and Clark are my 2 favorite options on this team, though. I think Clark's going to play 25 minutes or so. And this guy's been, I know he's buried again, but this guy's been good when he's gotten the minutes. And he has a good fantasy game. He can step out and make a 3. He can block, he can steal, he can rebound, and he can score some points in multiple levels of the floor. So I like him here. Melton, you touched on it. I don't have to expand on that. We both like him for his fantasy relevant game. Bain's going to have to take a lot of shots, so I do like him here too. But I'm leaning more towards Melton, Clark, and then Bain. But I really don't mind either. Tillman is there as well. The guy's just a good basketball player. He fits the system very well. I'm just leaning towards those 3 guys to take a better shot on.
That's what we're looking for. We know nobody here is going to be playing 40 minutes or anything like that. So the shot takers and the shot makers and the guys that can just stuff the stat sheets in a few different ways are going to be the key to success if we're trying to win an NBA preseason. So, yeah, I think we're probably on the same. And yeah, Marc Gasol, just because all the centers out does not mean Marc Gasol is going to play. Yeah. This dude's just along for the ride. This is his retirement tour. Maybe on the last game of the season, we look at Marc Gasol. We kind of see him just go out with a bang, like we did with, I think it was like Dwayne Wade and Dirk on those last games that they played a few years back where I think they both probably had like 50 or 60 DK points there in the last game of the season. Now, Marc Gasol won't do that in that last game, but he'll get you a solid 35, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he retired the other day. He just signed with the Grizzlies to retire is where he started, and then he signed in Europe, I believe.
Oh, did he now? I didn't even see that. I know Powell just announced his official retirement from basketball. You're probably right, though. Wouldn't surprise me. It feels like those guys are the same age, but how much younger is Mark compared to Powell? He's like 3 or 4 years younger than him, isn't he?
Yeah, but I want to say he's still 36.
Still old.
Yeah, he's super old still.
Well, I think that's all I really got for this game, man. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say.
No, that was it. We did a long one for only 3, but it is our first one back, so we wanted to throw out all that good news for you guys. We will be getting back into the swing of things. I don't know how many more we'll do in the preseason, just because the regular season's right around the corner, and we are ramping up for that. So we'll probably do another 1 or 2 in the preseason before we get started. Anything else you want to add before we add some extra at the end?
Yeah, let's make it a little longer. No, I'm just happy to be back doing this, man. Happy to doing these shows with you. Really excited for this season. If you're listening to this, we've been tweeting it out. We are recruiting over here at Hoopball for this DFS side of things, whether it's writing, Discording, whatever you think that you can do to provide some value to our team. If you're experienced playing DFS, if you have the results, if you're dedicated and motivated, we'll give you a shot. We just got to talk to a few people. You can either message Santino, I, or Dan Bespris on Twitter. But this team's growing. We have a lot of confident people on our squad already who have grown with us. And, as this beast keeps growing, we're looking for more bodies. So if you're interested, shoot us a message. Maybe not now, maybe not tomorrow, whenever you feel like it, hopefully before the season, because that is when we will stop recruiting. We're going to start shifting gears. But really excited for this, man. Really excited to be back. And it just feels good when you got DFS going on for basketball. I feel like a degenerate already the way I'm watching the news for preseason. So that's all I got, man. I'm ready to get out of here.
Yep. And that is it for our first show back. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will catch you again soon. And again, the regular season starts Tuesday, October 19th. The Nets, Bucks, kick it off. See you soon.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.
If you've got a passion for pumpkin, you've got to get to Dunkin' and pick these up. Our new Pumpkin Cream Cold Brew. Smooth, bold cold brew topped with velvety pumpkin cream cold foam. And our delicious pumpkin spice signature latte. Rich espresso topped with whipped cream, caramel drizzle, and cinnamon sugar. And our perfectly pumpkin donuts, munchkins treats, pumpkin muffins, and more. That's how we pumpkin at Dunkin'. Pick your pumpkin at Dunkin', like our new Pumpkin Cream Cold Brew, pumpkin spice signature latte, and our perfectly pumpkin treats. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Exclusions apply.
Hear that? Is that America cheering or a sausage patty sizzling to perfection? It's time to cheer for Egg McMuffin and fresh cracked eggs at McDonald's. It's time to wake up to the aroma of freshly baked biscuits and treat yourself to a real honest-to-goodness morning meal. Breakfast, it's on at McDonald's. Now enjoy a large iced coffee for just $2. Add a breakfast sandwich to make a meal. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.